Hi everyone, welcome. Thank you for joining Nutrition with Mel. The question we're going to be talking about today is, does diet affect our mental health? Mood disorders, and in particular depression, has a lifetime prevalence of 10 to 20% in Europe and North America, and is 2 times higher in women than in men. So it's definitely an issue, and it's definitely something I'm passionate about when it comes to nutrition. When it comes to diet and mental health, it appears that looking at isolated nutrients is not really as impactful as looking at a diet as a whole. Many people want to know the one thing that's going to make an impact, the one supplement they can take, and those things can help, but they're not going to have nearly as big of an impact as just focusing on the whole aspect of your lifestyle and what you're eating. In studies, they often will look at depression and anxiety as correlated with mental health. In a study of 1,000 women between the ages of 20 and 93, after adjusting for age, socioeconomic status, education, health behaviors, and a traditional dietary pattern characterized by vegetables, fruit, meat, fish, and whole grains, was associated with lower odds for major depression or anxiety disorders. And a Western diet of processed food or fried food, refined grains, sugary products, and beer was associated with a higher prevalence of mental disorders. A meta-analysis of 21 studies also found that a healthy diet of fruits, vegetables, fish, and whole grains was significantly associated with the reduced odds of depression. The study on the French, called the Gazelle cohort, on almost 10,000 men and women between the ages of 45 and 60, found that a higher likelihood of depression was found in men who consumed a low-fat diet, ate a lot of snacks, and high-fat sweets. And for women, there was a correlation with low-fat diet as well, high snacks, and depression. Those who had the lowest correlation with depression ate the most amount of fish, vegetables, and fruit. The consumption of fast food and commercial baked goods may have a deleterious effect on one's risk for depression. It turns out that the consumption of fast food, such as hamburgers, sausages, pizza, and processed pastries like muffins, donuts, croissants, was associated with a higher risk of depression. A meta-analysis that looked at 17 observational studies found that greater ultra-processed food consumption was associated with an increased odds of depression and anxiety. Ultra-processed foods may not be a term everyone is familiar with, but basically anytime we alter food, even just as cooking it or fermenting it, that is technically considered processing it. But that does not make a food unhealthy per se. The term ultra-processed food is really where the health issue lies. And this is a more appropriate term, as ultra-processed foods are those that are made either on a large scale, in a factory, or a lab. They're devoid of fiber, vitamins, and minerals, have preservatives, colorings, or stabilizers, so they can sit on a shelf for a long time without going bad. It's good for the profit of a company, but it's not good for your body or your mental health. Now, the Mediterranean diet is likely the most studied diet in the world, and for good reason. It time and time again correlates with healthy outcomes. And in this situation, I found a meta-analysis, which is a study of studies, in case you didn't know that, which found that adherence to a Mediterranean diet was associated with not only a lower risk of depression, but a lower risk of stroke, Parkinson's disease, and cognitive impairment. The Mediterranean diet has also been seen to be associated with less depression in Swedish women. The same was found in nursing students who had a high rate of depression and anxiety in general. Of all the supplements for depression, fish oil has gained the most attention due to quite robust research that has shown efficacy for its use. Fish oils are the most bioavailable source of omega-3 fatty acids, known as EPA and DHA. These are the main anti-inflammatory fats in our diet, and probably the main anti-inflammatory nutrient for us too. These are essential fats, meaning they're needed for our human health and we cannot make them ourselves. There are other anti-inflammatories we can get in our diet, such as from turmeric, but the main difference is that the anti-inflammatory compound known as curcumin is not an essential nutrient. Elderly people, 60 years or older, were found to have more depression if their blood levels of omega-3 were low and omega-6 was high. Omega-6 is a counterbalance of omega-3 and is needed, but in our modern world we get way too much of it because it's pro-inflammatory. This low omega-3 plasma levels in depression has actually been seen in multiple studies. EPA and DHA intake is related to increased amounts of gray matter in important mood-regulating regions of the brain, the hippocampus and the amygdala. Many studies show benefit of depressive symptoms when supplementing with omega-3 fatty acids, but not all of them do. My hypothesis for why some don't is that omega-3 and omega-6 compete. If you're consuming too many omega-6s and you take some omega-3s, it's hard for the omega-3s to do so much good. The best thing to do is to cut out the omega-6s and increase your omega-3s. You don't have to cut out the omega-6s all the way, but you do want to cut them down so that they're in a nice ratio. Also, the studies show that you have to be consuming around or at least 1 gram a day of EPA and DHA. And also, of course, depression is multifactorial, so sometimes just taking a fish oil is not going to make somebody feel better, although it can help. Depression is a serious issue and mental health in general, so I hope we can utilize nutrition and diet to help make a difference in our lives. Thank you for joining today. Please like and subscribe and check out my other videos.